Hi, this is Sarah Strong. I'm going to be recording my final presentation for Psych 1. And the topic I'm going to be talking about today is gratitude's effects on mental well-being. So I want to start out by defining what gratitude is. So gratitude is an appreciation for what you have. It's thankfulness and recognition of the small things in life that are good or that you have benefited from. And it's not just saying thankful. It's not just saying thank you. It's a mentality. It's a characteristic. It's a way of life. And one the term that I really liked that I found in one of the articles was dispositional gratitude, because dispositional gratitude is it it shows that that gratitude is a characteristic. It's not, saying, "Oh, thank you." It's, "Oh, like that is so great, and that is also so great," and it's just it's every day. It's consistent, and so that's the gratitude that we're going to be talking about. Well-being is the second part of this equation, and I liked the definition that one of the definitions that I found breaks it down into 4 different perspectives. And there's well-being, there's psychopathology, which is like mental illness and mental health and stuff like that, like depression, anxiety. There's emotional functioning, which is the ability to deal with emotions, to recognize what one is feeling, and to control your emotions. There's existential functioning, which is the ability to handle the big questions in life, to be able to handle freedom and choice, and being able to identify what one's purpose is. And then there's humanistic conceptions, which is having consistent beliefs, having a sense of identity, and knowing oneself. So these give a great view of well-being as, being able to deal with life, basically, to be healthy and, function in high-stress situations, stuff like that. And so the research that kind of I wanted to cover, that just gives a brief overview of what I'm looking at between gratitude's effects on well-being, is that studies have shown that individuals who express more gratitude in their daily lives show enhanced mental well-being. And an article that I really liked said that higher dispositional gratitude was associated with more personal well-being, more life satisfaction, and less psychological distress, which I think is extremely fascinating. And so this is why I chose this topic, and that why I continued to research this topic. And multiple studies have shown that writing down what one is grateful for, or at least acknowledging, consistently acknowledging and actively acknowledging things that one is grateful for, helps mental well-being. And so this was shown in a program that was done with elderly participants, where they reflected back on their lives, kind of through rose-colored glasses, with I think I'm using that term right, but with a positive outlook. And these individuals saw a decrease in anxiety and depression, and an improvement in specific memories, life satisfaction, and happiness. And so this is what, all these studies have found, and why I found this so interesting is that this characteristic really has an impact on your health, which is, I find that super interesting. and incentivizing. And so I began kind of my research by seeing how people are. I started thinking about this topic because I was seeing a lot of people around me just complaining about everything and taking things for granted, and just not appreciating what they should be appreciating. And I found that, when I was more grateful, I was less stressed, I was happier, and so I really wanted to see if there were, if there was science behind this. And so I went to the Foothill College Library website, and I went to the database and I typed in the keywords, and I found many academic journals about this topic, and I was very surprised that there were so many studies done about this topic. So it just kind of, it all worked out for me that I was able to find so many things that were super interesting. And so I wanted to talk about this topic. And so sorry. So the primary source that I want to talk. I just got a call. Okay. The primary source that I want to talk about is called, the title of the journal is called Gratitude and Adolescent Subjective Well-Being in School, the Multiple Mediating Roles of Basic Psychological Need Satisfaction at School. And this was done in 2016 by, it's written in 2016 by a few people. And the aim of the study was to see whether the fulfillment of certain psychological needs mediated the role between gratitude and subjective well-being in school for adolescents. So they tested a whole bunch of kids in China, in northern China, that had their average age was 13. And they wanted to do this study because there's been a lot of studies between focusing on gratitude's effects on mental well-being, but this was really looking at, like, okay, well, why? Why does it have that effect? And so I thought that was really interesting that they looked into this. And so sorry, I lost my train of thought. So the needs that they focused, the fulfillment of those needs that they focused on, that were mediating this relationship between gratitude and mental well-being, were autonomy, relatedness, and competence. And those were the three basic psychological needs for adolescent students at school. And autonomy needs at school represent students' experiences of strength of will and self-endorsement of their school behavior. Relatedness represents feelings of belonging and connection to peers and teachers at school. And then competence is related to the development and expression of personal abilities and what you can do in school. And so they put forth three hypotheses that they were going to test in this study. And the first hypothesis was gratitude will relate significantly to subjective well-being in school. So subjective well-being, mental well-being, I'll be using those terms interchangeably. Two, psychological needs satisfaction at school will mediate the relationship between gratitude and subjective well-being in school. And then three, gratitude will relate to the satisfaction of competence needs in school, which in turn will relate to the satisfaction of autonomy needs in school, which in turn will relate to subjective well-being in school. And so they tested a total of 910 students in northern China who were around 13 years old, ranging from 11 to 15 years old in public school. And they assessed all the different factors. So they used a gratitude questionnaire, which had questions like, I am grateful for a wide variety of people, and then measured on a scale from 1 to 6. They measured subjective well-being using a test that assessed the frequency of positive affect and the frequency of negative affect. And this again was tested on a scale of 1 to 6. All of these were tested on a scale of 1 to 6. They tested autonomy need satisfaction, and that was measured by the need for autonomy subscale of adolescent students' basic psychological needs at school scale. So an example question from that was, I can decide for myself how to do things at school. And then relatedness need satisfaction was measured by the need for relatedness subscale of the and consists of items like teachers and classmates care about me at school. Competence was measured by the need for competence subscale, which had items like I am capable of learning new knowledge at school. And then again, all of these were scored on a scale of 1 to 6. Higher score meant that represented higher levels of need satisfaction at school. So the results of this were that the correlations among gratitude, the satisfaction of autonomy needs of school, the satisfaction of relatedness needs of school, the satisfaction of competence needs at school, and subjective well-being in school were all positive and significant. And the mediating effect of relatedness satisfaction in social well-being in school, the subjective well-being in school explained 63.4% of the overall effects. Competence satisfaction explained 26.8% of the overall effects of subjective well-being. The combination of relatedness satisfaction and autonomy satisfaction explained 4.9% of the overall effects, and the combination of competence satisfaction and autonomy satisfaction explained 4.9% of overall effects, and all of these were considered significant. So basically, higher levels of gratitude resulted in superior satisfaction of these psychological needs, which had a positive effect on happiness. And so all three of their hypotheses were confirmed, except for hypothesis 2, which was partially confirmed. So hypothesis 2, again, was psychological need satisfaction at school will mediate the relationship between gratitude and subjective well-being at school. This was partially supported because results showed that both the satisfaction of relatedness needs and the satisfaction of competence needs at school served as significant mediators of the relation between gratitude and subjective well-being. So autonomy was not a significant mediator between gratitude and subjective well-being in school. So just a summary of the overall conclusions. I'm just going to fire them at you. Gratitude not only can directly relate to adolescent subjective well-being in school, but it can also indirectly relate to their subjective well-being in school by satisfying relatedness needs at school and competence needs at school for adolescents. Second one, results consistent. The results were consistent with the notion that gratitude inspires individuals' goals and pursuits, which promotes participation in school and society, which also encourages individuals to obtain greater academic success and a richer social network and develop a richer social network. Gratitude appears to help students experience a sense of connection with classmates and teachers and foster a feeling of school belonging. Gratitude appears to relate to more successful experiences, which satisfies the competence needs. And the satisfaction of relatedness and competence needs allows students to experience strength of will and self-endorsement of their school behavior. And that's conducive to satisfying autonomy needs and enhancing their subjective well-being in school. So, based on this evidence and the other evidence that I've seen and that I kind of briefly went over, it's evident that the practice of expressing gratitude can significantly improve young individuals' feelings of contentment and happiness, thus decreasing problems such as depression and anxiety. And this, indicates to me that people can use and develop the characteristic of gratitude to help their mental health. And establishing these good habits will help people in the long run, especially if we establish good habits at a young age, which was addressed by some research that showed that establishing those good habits helped children at, as young as like 8 years old, 7 years old, be more happy and ward off the effects of anxiety that young children might face from parents or school or something like that. And something I'm sorry, I keep zoning out. And I've seen, establishing these good habits, I've seen how good how good the effects can be in my own life. And the studies that I've seen about students and the study that we reviewed that about students and their subjective well-being, and is really inspiring. And they said something that I wholeheartedly agree with. They said that education and parents may wish to consider applying these methods of teaching students how to be more grateful in order to enhance those students' subjective well-being, and establish these habits, so they can participate in counting blessings or keeping gratitude journals, stuff like that. So to close out this presentation, I want to encourage you to reflect upon your own life. Take the conclusions that we've seen from these studies, that gratitude can help mental well-being, and reflect on your own life and see how you can improve to become more thankful, and how you can improve your recognition of things to be grateful for. I promise that there's tons of things to be grateful for, and as you do this, you will recognize more and more things. And they can be very, very small. They could be, big themes, but I really encourage everyone to reflect and to practice gratitude. And I promise that you guys will be a lot happier and healthier if you are more grateful. So thank you so much. This has been a great class, and thank you so much for teaching me. See ya.